They get the first target low. They choose the exact timing. A proactive Cosmic Radiance is one of the scariest abilities in the game, but they are very low on those proactive plays, and reactively, we've seen so many teams trip up with the Tower.
I will say that there are a lot of tools around MLXG's Lee Sin to really enable this pick, even more so than usual though. A Shen Stan United could be on top of him when he goes in for an insect play to force that fight, and he can reposition so quickly that the Taric stun can be extended. It does take a very high level of execution to actually pull that off, but if done so correctly, would be spectacular.
Well, here we are into the decider. Bang on the Caitlyn. A little bit of a new look for SK Telecom T1. I don't think a lot of teams saw this champion coming into Worlds, but the Chinese teams popularized it and won with it, and fairly many other squads decided, you know what, you guys are right, this is a smart adaptation. SKT bringing once again a new look into this draft. MLXG once again on Lee Sin, another champion that people weren't expecting to see much of, but push comes to shove. Backs against the wall now, match point for either side, do or die. All the references you want to make, it is this, the final competition for both these teams. One is going home, and one will move on to the finals. Here's game 5.
Uzi once again in this seat. Game number 5 on an elimination series. How will he perform under the pressure with the curse living over his head versus some of the most prolific and the most clutch players in all of League of Legends history on SK Telecom?
And it's so surreal because you hear the calls of the crowd. They are desperate to see a Chinese team in the final, for Uzi to actually get that big trophy. You hear the crowd cheer. Remember, it's still another best of 5 after this. Being clutch here is so important for Uzi, but there will be an even further requirement for him in a week's time at the Bird's Nest in Beijing. So there's still so much to be done, and yet it feels like right now we have a final of its own.
It's because right now is do or die, as Freak so eloquently puts.
All the references, there's plenty of synonyms there, and no one's mind is anywhere but in this game right now. Samsung, WE, not names in their minds. It's all about Bang, Wolf, Faker, Peanut, Huni, Let Me, MLXG, Xiaohu, Uzi, and Ming. These 10 players, the coach can no longer talk to them. The drafts no longer matter. Execution is all you need. And as minions spawn, RNG going to go for an invade, try to punish Huni's potential leash. And go back to their side afterwards. It will be a late start, though, for MLXG. He'll be a few seconds off.
As you see, SKT stealing away the Raptors here, getting a bit of experience onto Bang. In particular, only gets one because of the patience range there, and he has to go to lane to get the melee minions. RNG actually went straight to lane, so it might be a level 2 advantage here in the bot lane.
Assuredly. I mean, RNG get to shove this early wave in, and they get complete control down here. Shouldn't be difficult for Bang and Wolf to reset off of that tower bounce, though. With the Lulu and Caitlyn, they have very strong advantages here. Now, you talked about the bands of supports, you know, the Leona specifically in Champion Select here, but Taric and Tristana can also apply a tremendous amount of kill pressure. Ming, though, taking a lot of damage on the outside.
Not a lot of ways out, he flashed, but it's going to be Peanut in range! He's going to get in there with the Ignite, the damage comes through, first blood for Bang!
We said one of the only things that they would fear would be Rock's Peanut. Peanut comes down from the red buff to the bottom lane to secure first blood for SKT.
Talked about taking away strategies as well. That's MLXGS. One buff into walking all the way down. That is not what you expect conventionally from a Korean jungler min-maxing. This is all about getting in the head of RNG. Has to make the entire trip, walks all the way down. They see RNG pushed up, and Peanut smells his moment.
So many things collaborate here to make this possible. SKT, they seemingly for free give away this minion wave push level 1 by going to the Raptors. Yet, all the time, coordinated with Peanut on this Jarvan, a red buff start immediately to the bottom lane to take advantage of an over-pushed lane. And it finds success here in Game 5, the critical moment.
One of the few moments maybe there would have been a smiling Peanut, as he's been grimacing almost the entire summer season into Worlds. That was vintage him. Didn't take an Elise pick, didn't take the Nidalee, was banned away in the previous game. But a confidence booster is so important for the jungler of SKT.
The first recalls come through in the mid lane. Faker, if he wants to, can TP right back in. Just add some ability power for the wave clear. MLXG is hard farming. He actually went for his own trust as well, something not too often seen in early clears, but a hard farm out of the Lee Sin so far. Level 3 for him, matched by Peanut though. He's also got himself a gank off, so massive props, of course, to the SKT junglers we were mentioning before. Let me doing his best to play defense up here. Is currently up in farm. Worth noting, is doing very well for himself, but Shen has been a big champion for him. His ultimates were so good in that first game.
Huni has had 1% jungle proximity. 1%. No visits at all. And some of the lane phases, most famously Game 1, have not gone his way, but it's got that thankless task. We've talked about it a couple of times. Push in, create pressure, even with 2 losing lanes at times, especially during Worlds, and don't die. And there's always going to be that pendulum swing, and he's largely done his job pretty respectably in this series.
Meanwhile, opposing him, Letme has diligently done his job on the tanks.
Sure.
Shen, Maokai, and RNG have been able to really effectively actually use that Shen previously. Remember back to earlier in this series, the bottom lane focus where MLSG did go top. You know, he was able to lend some support to Letme and get Shen to that level 6 where they could take advantage. But right now, it might be him that would be in need of some support. Fancy camera work there, though, and he's no longer around the mid lane. Currently down bottom, looking for a play off the control ward.
Just feels like MLXG needs to make action happen wherever he goes. Late rotation jungler, the playmaker that he is famous on. If everything's left equal, I mean, pushing advantage for SKT top and bot lane, although it's pretty even right now as RNG have pushed up, and Galio situationally can clear faster than the Corki. So my eyes are really trained on what MLXG can do as well. That's his first aggressive move.
Yeah, lands a slow couple autos, but Galio already on the way down. Faker not far, doesn't have ulti, but still. Nice try at Huni, lands the hyper damage, and that will be a control ward cleared away. So now suddenly it's RNG losing vision on this side of the map.
It's going to be so much of balance here in the early game about the globals of all of these solo laners. As we approach the level 6s for Faker, for Letme, these cooldowns are tremendously long in the early game, and those are what you base your entire team strategy for that early game around. Jungle paths are determined by these. You know, trades in the top lane like we just saw could very well mean Letme joining on this bottom side gank, or it fails.
We didn't even mention it. Ming has Ignite, so showing a bit of transparency around playing around bot side. That's why you see MLXG once again returning here for the lane gank, but SKT pulling back very respectful.
Yeah, no reason to go run headlong into them in front of a minion wave, so gonna play at range. I do want to point out though, despite the Caitlyn pick, and so many times in Worlds we see it be a super lane dominant pick, you knock the turret down, there's nary a lick of damage on the RNG bot lane turret right now. Uzi and Ming, maybe with the Ignite threat, who knows, have been able to keep the lane at equilibrium the whole time.
So now I would definitely say that the respect is being paid to that Shen, Stand United post level 6. But you're right, the kill pressure early on of an Ignite Taric Tristana lane that we talked about, definitely keeping them honest. And pressure actually is a very ambiguous term that we use often as casters in League of Legends, but we could simplistically describe a couple of versions here. So one version of pressure does come from kill pressure, and that is from assassins or from skill combinations like we just mentioned, where you can all in and kill the opposing champion. The other form of pressure that we talk about very often is the ability of a champion to clear out the minions in a much quicker fashion, which basically, again, gives that homework to the enemy, as you can see there, to have to clear out before going for one of those rounds.
That's why Galio kind of has the best of both worlds, because he instantly clears a minion wave, leaves, and he even has a global to get somewhere faster than you can, so you're always under intense map pressure. Do you call missing every time he wave clears? He's got the wave clear from level 1. So I take your point, Kobe. It is a very nuanced point. We talk about even the map pressure, the ability to push being enough to create pressure on the enemy jungler because the laners can leave first. Seeing both laners on our screen, leaving for now, trying to provide coverage. MLXG one camp away from 6.
Peanut, I believe, was seen coming down through the mid lane. Of course, the minion wave wasn't there, so he gets to walk, and now he is seen. He puts the red ward down and says, I'm not going to bother stealing this one. RNG know that information themselves, of course, as well. As the red buff will be grabbed pretty cleanly by MLXG. First level 6 is going to be that RNG jungler. The Peanut you expect not far behind.
And then it comes to weird summoner spells. Like Ignite on Taric is something that may never have been played in the entire summer season. It's not what you'd expect. And Exhaust, certainly. Heal has become common. He has the Wind Speaker, so you would have thought heal. But Ignite basically says, wait, you've got a Lee Sin, and your support with a stun has Ignite. You're expecting bot lane pressure, and that probably means that after clearing a wave, Bang walks backwards because he's like, wait, surely the enemy jungler with this Ignite turret will play around bot side. If that means the turret lasts 3, 4, 5 minutes longer, just to summon a spell choice is enough to create pressure or implied pressure on the SKT bot.
And the first recalls come through, of course. Bang with more money gets to finish an entire Ninja Tabby, but it's actually still up in farm for Uzi. A pretty safe recall. So often you see a Caitlyn get to dictate when that happens, come in with BS Rider's pickaxe, and it's the same attack damage out of the Tristana. And mid to late game, I think there is a massive power effect that comes out of the Trist, much more so than the Caitlyn gets.
I mean, on a simple level, late game, it's one threat, and the one threat is Caitlyn. On the side of SKT, a lot of the nerfs towards Caitlyn were about attack speed, base attack speed, nerfs into meaning attack speed items give her less rewards. So when it comes to late game fights, Xiaohu on his famous Corki that won them a lot of their way towards their eventual second place runners-ups and that won him his MVP is going to be so pivotal because there's a point where SKT may run out of damage.
It's definitely true. You have to take into consideration the theoretical maximum damage output for a backline of Corki Triss, definitely higher. But topside, we actually have some action brewing.
Okay, Letme can get to the taunt. He's not going to go for it. He's running out of health instead. So just MLXG gives him a shield. They called that Jarvan and Galli were on the way. Suddenly this could be a 3 versus 2. And Uni, looking to go continually forward, wants to find the CC. Instead, they will find alone time with this turret, though.
Sweeper misses the ward, so Peanut
Going to play, flash on the lands, here's the rest of the knockup, and they're going to have all the CC they need. MLXG going to drop 2-0 SKT.
And Huni, so much pressure on this top side. Now they even get to cut off Letme from the minion wave, and Faker instantly teleports back to mid.
Such a big play in the blink of an eye. The fact that he's in a ward doesn't matter. They're going to invest a teleport just to keep the turret health up. It's low, but it will not fall now. And Faker loses no minions in mid.
People question Huni all year long, ever since he joined this SK Telecom version. He's stuck to his style of high pressure, playing forward on the map, drawing extra resources away. And as you talked about earlier, Papa Smithy, he only got 1% jungle pressure from his own team.
It's doubled now!
I mean, he's kind of had a thankless task in summer. Spring season, he comes in. First game was Maokai. He played a lot of Poppy. He looked great. He fit in. In summer season, halfway through the season, as we look over a bit of a replay here, his only wins were on Cassiopeia top, Lucian top, a bit of AD Cannon. He wasn't playing the meta champion. He can play the Gnar. He showed it in his victory over Khan in the LCK final, the only game that SKT won. He does play to the beat of his own drum, and I love that SKT, with no Antara, have to embrace that, and all their strategies around a pressure top laner, something that Huni uniquely provides, and Antara does not.
And one of my favorite stats is the Huni style, of, regardless of champion, is effective. On Cho'Gath, the average past halfway mark for first 15 minutes, forward percentage, is 30% of the time. They'll be across the halfway point. Huni's Cho'Gath forward percentage is 50%.
And Huni has had to reinvent himself a bit here with Jace banned permanently. He hasn't played the Trundle once. You think about what a Huni champion looks like, you think, what about Cho'Gath, the big blind-picked mid laner of this tournament? It doesn't work for Huni because it doesn't have turret-killing pressure. You need to either gank Huni and allow SKT to make plays on the bot side, or Huni needs to be able to take down turrets while the enemy team reacts.
It looks like the top lane should be falling on this one. No one's quite in range to stop him. Xiaohu was sent to handle the 1v1, but a little bit, not enough time really had, and Huni will get the solo kill on first turret of the game. SKT up 2,000.
Gonna walk over a trap here and reveal himself, so SKT know what's on the way.
Damage onto Wolf, but it doesn't matter. MLXG so far ineffective on this Lee Sin pick. It's been Peanut been able to actually get a gank off on this, and now we got to fight into the mid lane. Letme puts on the dodge time, and now Xiaohu gonna find himself a duel against Huni, but he's got to be careful. Peanut is around. A lot of burst damage. He's almost gonna take him. One rocket, but the damage reduction of the Galio saves Huni's life.
Single-digit HP means that Gnar does not fall down. It was a lane swap by RNG to try to have the Corki answer Gnar. Ranged auto-attacker alike in the top side. Shen in mid lane, that would have been a big punishment way back into the game for RNG. It does not happen.
Faker saves another teammate, applying the damage reduction for the last rocket. Meanwhile, down bottom lane, Ocean Drain taken up.
So a solo Ocean, 14 minutes, not the ideal, but not bad. The fact that RNG's duo was able to heads up 2-on-2 with a bit of intervention, but not a true gank, get the turret kill against a Caitlyn lane No one gives first turret against the Caitlyn lane. RNG did, so the strengths on different sides. Uzi and Huni, the two major forces.
The turret health was high, but they knew that all the members of SKT were topside. There was no backup for SKT while MLFC was bot side. They couldn't know that he was taking down the Ocean Drake. They had to respect, they backed away. It's nice to pick up the turret, answering turret for RNG.
And you talk about the 2 points of power, Freak. Just a little fun fact here, Huni was at 3 HP from that last engagement. So that
points of power.
That point of power, yeah, was 3 HP from falling over.
He attacked one extra time with his Cole, got 3 life on hit, lived through Xiaohu.
And while the early game has gone good for SKT, they don't have the inevitability of mid to late game fight Lulu Kog'Maw. It is Caitlyn this time. Caitlyn, after the big debut with WE with the Janna Caitlyn lanes, has not found any real success subsequent to that. Nard is going to go for a DPS build, but there's no guarantee that if this game stays around the 2,000 to 5,000 gold mark in 10, 15 minutes time, SKT can win team fights.
Yeah, you definitely have to run it through the team fight simulator here. Theoretical damage output of a Corki Tristana is amazing. However, there is higher disruption on SK Telecom's side. So if the front line can play well enough to disrupt the auto attacks and the damage output, then it could be similar. Here we go on the bottom side though. Let me is the target.
Puts in the dodge, he buys a lot of time, but here comes the rest of the squad. Wolf is here, the taunt to buy some time, but Peanut can walk away. SKT, 3 unanswered kills.
That was really strong, even through the dodge field, able to pick him up. They'll summon the Rift Herald, force RNG to react bot side, and Baker's just leaving open, trying to wave clear around the mid lane.
Baker feels like he's constantly trying to put out fires across the map, but
look at the number one burning on top. Flash kicked him into a wall, into all of the rest of the damage is there. Huni, of course, the standard build doesn't have any resistances yet, and they knew their limits. MLXG hoping to get this first turret, but here comes Faker. They've got to walk away.
No turret taken down. Faker keeps moving around. Second charge on the Rift Herald. Difficult to return to a chunked out bot lane inner turret, so not necessarily going to be a big factor. Very nice execution on the top side. That was the second kill onto Huni. That 3 HP hadn't have been there the previous time. That would have definitely been a psychological blow to Huni, but giving up his life there and keeping up his summoners is decent.
2,500 still the lead for SKT. He can still feel good about this one. The fact that he got first turret gold means he's still ahead of his opponent in lane. Uzi hoping to find something to do. Xiaohu forced to run away as well from Faker. And pressure in all these lanes.
Something else that RNG really like to do with Xiaohu on this Corki is have him on the side lane and split pushing. So, we'll get another look at Let Me here on Shen as he gets dove, ending up being a 3 versus 1, but it starts out with just Faker and Peanut doing most of the work. Then Wolf comes in, he adds the wild growth just for good measure.
Huni had half a rage bar, so there was a chance if this wasn't instantly executed that he turns around, but the flash kick takes away any time to react. A single auto attack in the air without a flash may have been enough for the transform. Very nice punishment by Ari.
I think he was actually in the middle, but I started hearing the sound, but as he leaped, the bounced off, he got the rage. You normally transform in a crunch as that goes in, and those few seconds all they needed.
Exactly. You consider one more auto attack connects because of the time to close from the Lee Sin. The transform probably happens. Maybe there's a trade kill, but good investment of the flash. Picks up the proactive play for RNG.
And again, the point we were talking about earlier, the difference between what you expect and what you got out of Caitlyn. Absolute value almost the same, but that's not how this game works right now. So Bang working back from a deficit. The real trough comes at 2 items. I think right now should be up front, not too bad for Caitlyn. But from this point onwards, Uzi gets more and more powerful than Bang.
And I love the fact that Kobe talked about the disruption factor for SKT, because a perfect fight where RNG have the Cosmic Radiance going and then they free hit with it, they will probably win. And I think that will consistently be the trend. But there's so many different ways to force positioning, to bait out something like that big ultimate from Ming, where suddenly it doesn't matter how much damage you have if Let Me and MLXG die and there's no front line for the 280 carries to DPS behind.
The execution here for the next 5 minutes are critical, because as we've seen with the stats for Caitlyn, she does drop off with the attack speed nerfs that you're talking about later, Freak. And we've seen so many of the teams stall out with the pushing, but SKT are keeping up the pressure, trying to get that bottom secondary turret.
I think he might have known that MLG had no flash, but still a flash to get away. Didn't want to get knocked up, but a quick dodge out by Let Me, but SKT able to get their 3rd turret now of the game as bot lane 2-2 falls. RNG only just getting top lane outer. Being able to run back. He's got a Lulu near him, put some damage on towards Uzi.
Meanwhile, as we talked about before, the Trinity Force Corki, RNG love to have Xiao who's split pushing, and now once again making quick work of this top turret. Even though they sacrifice on the bottom side and Let Me On Shen is unable to deal with the multiple members of SKT down there, RNG are trading some gold and trying to fuel their later game carries.
And never lose sight of when the Baron is spawning against a Ardent Sensor turret, able to really reapply that in an AoE and force down a fast Baron. So even on simple levels, you think conventionally, hey, you're gonna get a Mountain Drake, you're jumping around the right side, you have the right side of control by controlling bot side for SKT. The Baron pressure of this Ardent Sensor turret at 20 minutes is immense.
It truly is, because all of the champions on RNG also very successfully utilize that Ardent Sensor buff. That's one of those times where the Ardent Sensor gold value of this item will actually be like 9,000 gold.
Yeah. This is one of the very best ones for it. I'm actually glad RNG didn't go for this kind of composition. And we'll see if they can make that happen here. Of course, SKT, though, still with the lead from their early plays, but taking back some disadvantages in other spots as Peanut now moved over to Mountain Drake.
At the moment where the Galio mid is a comfortable one, he can just lazily walk over to the Baron and make sure nothing's going to happen there to stop the setup, stop the control wards from being too advanced. So tanky that he's happy to face check away.
RNG trying to keep that pressure on top side while sacrificing this dragon. They really want more gold. Gold to fuel these carries. And yes, they would love to have a Mountain Drake to really put more threat on a Taric Baron, but if they can get the items onto the Corki and Tristana, that's what they're looking to try and really bridge this gap.
There's like the respect that Lulu better in duels right now than Taric, which makes sense. Taric much more of a team fighter, all area of effects around that champion. You saw that Bang is able to push Uzi away despite the momentary deficit. The fact that Uzi has a completed static shift, but no IE done for Bang. Certainly a difference in what would be power in a fight. Thanks to able to control the lane though, and not take too much damage.
One of those things though where SKT have a lot of delay. Caitlyn wave clear with a ship, Galio. A lot of globals to bail them out if there's a proactive move. But the delay is not necessarily towards a better moment for SKT in team fights, and that's why RNG, they don't want to opt into this, but they have largely been a team to just have Uzi pushing out minion waves, hit 3-4 items, and then abuse how strong, or embrace how strong their team fighting has been. So for now, SKT happy with the pace of the game.
See the continued push. As SKT now answering the mid lane, and no one's going to stop them. They got the rest of the team to go away, and this is now 4-2 in turrets. SKT pushing farther ahead. 3,000 now the lead.
Cost of having Corki in the side lane, no teleport ward for him to be able to get in there, and obviously a Corki teleport. Situational at best, so doesn't mean they give away the free objective.
And LG now forced to go towards what tank stats he can, getting himself Knight's Vow, but with not a lot of durability, honestly. He can be cut down in a fight now, looking at the next shot towards Bang. Good damage up on here, Shahu getting him down almost! The barrier and the wild growth both keep him alive.
Two really big cooldowns there, and the pressure mounting for RNG as they collapse around mid lane. Will Peanut be left alone?
He is, but he dodges a stun. It means he's able to walk away. That could have been a dive if not for the quick fingers and the juke away. Still 3-4 in turrets. The lead is SKT's 2,500, but moments of pushing now for RNG.
SKT are going to have to show us something special here. So rarely do we get the feeling in these games where time is not working in their favor, as RNG really starting to close the gap as they get closer and closer to that Corki Infinity Edge coming in as well.
I think Bang forgot he didn't finish IE yet. He just got a Zeal, which is more than the combined cost of what an Infinity Edge takes, which is like 1,200 change. Like, I think he just overlooked the fact that he's lowering his damage output, which may come the hurt of a team fight, but we'll see.
The DPS onto Xiaohu, has the movement speed here. Can only assume it's for extra attack speed for the Ardent Sensor, but given
Not
the lower
right
value.
it's literally
I know,
not the right item.
I know you are the oracle for builds, but hard to forget you don't have an Infinity Edge when your whole item, 6 items is full.
I do not see a way of explaining your way out of this.
He
one
recalled
as
it
well.
exactly 1,200 gold, and I think it's 1,225 to finish IE from this point, and he's like, I need the power spike now. I didn't want to sell a Doran
That seems
shield.
more likely than forgetting.
I would sell the Doran shield though, 100%.
Either way, we have no Infinity Edge on Bang for any sort of fight that breaks out around this Baron. And with all of the outer turrets dropping, you know, RNG are moving in, taking the vision control. Even with this middling gold lead here for SK Telecom, it feels like RNG feels so comfortable with the current state of the game. And there it is. Now the Corki has his Infinity Edge as well.
Yeah.
So it's 2-0, where it's 2-1.
2 infinity, maybe beyond that right now. 0 for SKT. Let's see if they get anything out of this one. And I want to move our conversation a little bit since we are in a lull in the action. Not a lot of fights just yet. It's RNG going for vision control. I want to see what legacy these teams can leave for us. Uzi's been in 2 World Finals. Sadly for him, he's lost in both of them. Faker's been in 3. If RNG win this, Uzi gets to tie that mark at being in 3 finals himself. Maybe this will be the one that he wins, but you can kind of tell the tension is there. They're a bit more hesitant to pull the trigger, knowing that one mistake is the last mistake you get to make for the year.
And like the analyst talked about on the desk, until SK Telecom actually ever get knocked out of Worlds,
Yeah.
you're not really going to believe that it's likely to happen. It's the mystique around this team with the consistency that they have performed with year after year have really built this up.
It's the end of a chapter. If they lose here, they will be remembered, RNG, whatever the result of the final, as ending SKT's undefeated best of series streak at Worlds. And that already is the sort of thing that adds to Uzi's legacy, but doesn't quite get him a title.
And the statement always is, I'll believe Rome burns when I see the ashes. Right now there's smoke, but is there really fire? SKT still with the gold lead, and you can argue compositions, but execution is always what matters at the end of the day. And 8 times now, that question's been asked to SKT, will you bow out? And every single time they have won that game instead and gone further and further. There's a reason they have won 3 world titles in his clutch factor. A factor that Uzi just simply has not shown yet in his career.
They're looking to go double digits in best of 5s at Worlds as well, would be 10-0 in best of 5 series at Worlds ever since 2013, if they're able to take it here.
Well, on to Uzi, Rocket jumps away and decided that he wasn't too afraid of Kai'Gosm anymore. Gonna waste some vision again. Xiaohu continues to be on the split push with this teleport. This is a double TP team plus Let Me's ultimate. SKT, of course, with a similar situation. They've got the Galio plus the double teleport.
One of the little ways that you can feel like RNG is reclaiming control of this game is that Huni is never really pushing past the river on the Gnar. He is basically pushing out a single minion wave that Shen pushed to him, and they're just trading farm between a Gnar and Shen, which lets you know he's not confident enough to keep pushing down. They can't rotate him topside for now. They don't want him to lane against the Corki. So for now, the Gnar pushing pressure on Shen isn't really a bullet point of this game because they're just trading farm between the two.
In the meantime, though, SK Telecom still should be able to control the neutral objectives here. They push out the mid wave. Bang and Wolf are rotating over for another Drake. Luckily for them, Ocean Drake not the most benefits on this stage of the game. Sure. But they'll definitely take every little bit they can get.
Thomas Smith, you mentioned trading farm before. To narrow in on that topic, you actually look at who's having gold leads on both these sides. Xiaohu and Uzi are actually the ones with gold leads over their respective counterparts of SKT. It's top jungle support with 4 gold on SKT, but 3-minute redemption, no one cares that Wolf has 700 more. Lulu with a Crystal Embracer doesn't do anything different, so some of these spikes are really valuable, such as Rapid Fire Cannon being done on Uzi and not for Bang.
On a simple level, RNG have killed more minions than SKT have, even though SKT have the pressure draft with the Galio Global, with the Gnar who is pushing in. So the fact that RNG have got access to more minions than SKT lets you know that their ability to defend in the early to mid game, to stop the game from snowballing further after the first inner turret went down in the bottom lane, it's been a robust defense, and they've rotated Xiaohu and Uzi around well, and result is big item leads for them right now.
All right, let's talk about how SKT could craft themselves a beneficial team fight, though, because there are other items at play here, with Caitlyn traps being able to close off jungle corridors and being able to create terrain with Jarvan for Huni to use for a large Gnar ultimate.
Yeah.
Speaking of disruption, they have these very big possible combos of Jarvan, Galio, and Gnar getting to that backline and stopping that TPS. Yes, you know, if Free Firing Corki and Tristana with Infinity Edges are left alone, then they can take the toll.
The attempt, the flash, and Huni gets which way to go away. And that's not going to get the kickback, but here comes the package. This could be the fight that seals it all. Here they go into the front line. Huni transforms, but will he be knocked down? No. He's going to stay alive. 5v5 still available on both sides here.
No one dies. More tools used by RNG. They teleported in. Couldn't find a fight win. Huni can teleport back in, but he will be exhausted on the mini Gnar. We all take a big gulp, and the game resets again.
And they did have to use Huni's flash to get out, so that's one component that would make it easier to pull off that big AoE combo for the back line. As well, Bang on the Caitlyn. His flash also expended, so have to worry about the positioning. Really important here for the next fight.
Definitely agree. 3 summoners for 3, though. The overall trade in this one, no Ignite to reduce the healing out from Bing here. Is once again, RNG look to be playing for the ward control, but SKT still has Trinket wards inside the Baron pit, so nothing really stifled out just yet. The minimap not fully gray here as RNG push forward. Once again, get control of mid lane first.
And even though it's by a different path, this game's RNG's draft, with where they have the multiple damage dealers in the late game and SKT only having 1, still echoes what they did in game 1, where they said, if we can take it late, we will win. Now trying to increase the pace of the game, though. First attempt at Baron.
Pull SKT into the pit. Division seen a little bit here as the war goes over the wall. They know it's at 5K. And Baker holds the front line. What kind of taunt can he get? What kind of setup is there? The snipe coming through. SKT actually re-engaged on the Baron. And they're going to get rid of the Vision. Down to 4,800.
Arzen bot lane actually is taking a red buff and pushing. So SKT aren't serious about actually forcing a 5v5 fight, but they have pushed RNG off the Baron.
Yeah, they're just trying to delay the members of RNG here. Now, Letme's been sent down to the bottom to deal with that minion wave, though, and SK Telecom disengage.
First time they've gotten any sort of control over the halfway mark and actually wards into the blue buff area in a long time. So RNG, a bit out of nowhere starting Baron, cost them a lot of map vision. Yep. SKT get inside track on mid lane.
They win the exchange, this turret down below us, 1/3 gone already, down to half HP, and who's going to stop them? Some wave clear from Corki, and it lives at about 1/4 health, but that last minute or so was much better executed by the Koreans, by the defending champions. Hoping to reclaim that throne yet again as they're 1 game away from eliminating Royal Never Give Up here, making it to their 4th final.
Most impressive thing to me about SKT this tournament is that they found themselves with the lack of control over games with a gold disadvantage many times over the course of the tournament. And those were the games they actually pulled out and won. They lost to Snowball comps from Misfits twice. They lost to the Fizz Sejuani combo AHQ was playing. But all those long games where they were in large gold leads, they won because the one thing they have been able to do consistently is set up a line of defense. Understand, if this team makes one move on this part of the map, let's get the maximum advantage somewhere else. They never give up free lunches. That has been the consistent story with SKT, and that's why there, RNG made their first practice move in a while. They said, okay, we've got the item timings, let's start the Baron. Let's make the fight now while we know we're strong, and SKT respond to it and actually get an advantage from it.
Well, SKT never give up free lunches, but Royal Never Give Up is in the name. That was lame, but it's going to be still the battle for vision over that one. I'm actually disappointed in myself. I apologize profusely everywhere. But it is still, it's just the tense vision battle. That is what this game is boiled down to at this point. The waves being cleared reasonably well on both sides. Huni not getting crazy inroads into the side lane.
I completely get it, Brick. There's nothing to shout about right now. We're waiting for that Titanic moment. We thought it might have been the teleport play from Xiaohu, but it was snuffed out even though it was the aggressive use of the Shen. This game is bleeding. It's basically requesting a match winner to show up in a moment. Another Baron start, we might see that big moment.
And it feels like SK Telecom are calling RNG's bluff. They're saying, prove it to us now. We are proven champions. We have the poise in late game. You make the first move.
The flag saw it. It was still down there. The taunt's going to land in a 1. The stun there to join it as well. They get the ulti out of Galley. Letme will be knocked up there. The chase in still going for Bang. He's got the damage up, but Chunks uses it to half and forces the rocket jump away. And meanwhile, Gnar still pushing in the bot lane.
So Huni was doing in their losses, doing it here as well. He's back in main iron form, which when it comes to turret damage, is actually a benefit for the Gnar.
Huni taking his toll down there on the bottom side, and the veterans in SK Telecom get a little bit more pressure.
Continually able to split the map, and once again now starting on the Baron, the team far away. MLXG can join this, but the Baron losing health rapidly. He sees, guys, Bang's hitting the Baron.
There's no control ward on the Baron, so they're not actually able to secure it. They had one in the inventory. They peel away. SKT were not going to finish.
And critically, Xiaohu on the bottom of your screen in the minimap, chasing Huni down, who was closing in his rage bar for a teleport to join the rest of the team. But here they go!
Cataclysm pops and kicks right back to the rest of the team. MLXG hoping to buy some time. Will get flashed on by Faker. The knockups to follow. Here comes Shen. The knockups took him in. Do they have the damage up? But MLXG trying to run away, getting on the wall, staying alive with a chase in for Peanut. Will find the first kill and break all of the silence. And the chase now for Letme slowed. And no flash, but getting away, but a dead jungler is all SKT needs.
They find the kill on the jungler, and that's all SK Telecom need to flip the switch. Baron started up once again.
He's still pretty far away, walking in an easy solo on the Drake for Huni. Baron losing more and more with health, 8,000 health left. You can see a quick blink in, Uzi nearby. Bang, hitting the shots in, down to 4,000. Let me in the front line. Here's the TP in for Huni, and a trap gets Uzi too low. Royal never gonna forfeit the Baron. This might come through, and now it might be too late for Xiaohu. Flashing away, hitting the blue for a bit of move speed, but his health bar's running low, and Faker will shut him down.
SKT was so reliable on the defense that RNG got angsty. They thought something had to give. It was SKT that were actually able to pick up the important pick, the one time they actually had control over the Baron area.
Nerves of steel for SK Telecom, and it pays off with a jungle pick into Baron buff and opening up the RNG base.
35 seconds till Xiaohu is back. This should be an easy push at the very start. So the question is, what do they go for? Is it inhibitor and more or inhibitor and back? And they look to be positioning a bit forward here, but they will cease at this point, take the win that they can get, and let the respawns happen.
A lot of Baron buff duration. They have a backup win condition spawning in the Elder Dragon. They picked up 3 stacks on that as well. No need to get greedy. We're not going to be able to finish the game with Justana alive.
SK Telecom so confident in this front line, able to find the pick there in the critical moment to open up team number 5. And let's take another look at MLXG here on the attempted escape.
Yeah, he doesn't flash. He doesn't flash, but in previous areas, this would have been fine for him to go for aggressive vision. SKT were not defending the Baron area that aggressively. This time they do, and Peanut just about finishes the kill.
That's just so greedy. MLXG's in front of 4 people, and he says, I'm in Cataclysm. That's okay, I'll wait it out. And they give away all the control.
SK Telecom call for RNG to prove that they deserve it, to move past them, but not to yet be proven. Now they're gonna have to do it into a Baron buff on a pushing SK Telecom. Open mid lane here has already been destroyed. Super minions will soon be making their way to RNG's base. And a bunch of purple minions will be making their way to the bottom of the base.
Yes, they are. And as they continue marching on down, it's a source of gold for RNG, but a source of consternation, knowing that if their base falls, their hopes are over.
And we rewind. What were we saying? RNG with the double Infinity Edge carries, they just wanted to team fight. SKT got their advantages without even starting a team fight. A pick was all they needed. Now they roll in with the long-range Caitlyn, trying to take a second inhibitor turret. The only thing they wanted to avoid was a fight. And so many times Galio looked to be going aggressively. We knew it was just to allow the Nard to split push. SKT does not want a 5v5.
What's the next play? Onto the bot lane they are. The traps from Caitlyn making re-engaging difficult. Let me blocks the shot. And the siege can continue. Huni walking up. The rest of the team doing the similar. Cannon shoots away at this turret.
Say what you want about the nerf DPS of Caitlyn in teamfights, but her tower siege is still premier here. Caitlyn traps basically nullify the opportunities for engagement, and the range destroys the turret.
With the turret gone, that means there's no engage to be had for RNG. As we back up for this one, a nice knockback means there's no taunt on Uzi. Look at the next one is Xiao, who actually cleanses away with the QSS. The inhibitor is gone, and now there should no longer be a fight that RNG wants. SKT able to get the clean second inhibitor take with the siege.
And we also come back to drop. We said MLXG is on the Lee Sin. They do not have true engage on this team. With MLXG's flash down, even when he buffers a Q onto a front line and you think, oh, is this going to be the insect play? The reliability without the flash is not there. Put down the traps, have the Galio put up his big W taunt, and then take down objectives. The crowd is roaring. They are cheering for RNG. How are they going to fight a 5v5 fight when SKT has spent 37 minutes denying a 5v5 fight?
Well, with 2 inhibitors down, there's not a lot of territory for RNG to work with anymore. They've got so much minion clearing duty ahead of them. Every 30 seconds is going to seem like a lifetime as the double stacked super minions will be buffing each other up when mid lane meets bottom lane at the Nexus turrets.
It does allow gold to keep flooding in. Luciana lead currently over Bang on this one, but the siege continues. The overall team gold, of course, much higher for the South Koreans, looking for top lane tier 2 now. Baker able to tank up these shots so easily. Even if the theoretical damage is higher, Baker's real tankiness just the highest in this game.
It's never going to get access to the Caitlyn. It can't walk up and actually stop the turrets going down. Baker, maybe he's taking damage. It's hard to tell at this point.
Yeah, can take 3 turret shots for just a Lulu shield. Gets harder from there when you have block it, redemption, and everything else. Bang again, putting some shots down, gets a couple hundred health off of Let Me.
Maybe it's worth just trying to kill Nar quickly, but even that's so difficult right now with Branduin's complete. Crowd's falling low.
Baker pushed away, but yeah, the shot's still coming in. The turret's tanked up, and this will be turret number 8 for SK Telecom T1. They've doubled the score of RNG in that regard.
And the SK Telecom War Machine slowly creeps forward. Bang places another line of traps. The super minions are inside of the base, and RNG's options are running out.
Traps up, auto's ready. Faker again holding the front line. Ming burns Locket to block it. That seems a bit excessive, but wants to be full HP for that one. Let Me take a couple of shots as well. Maybe a taunt onto the tank here. Let Me is going to be pulled in. The taunt zone, dodge zone gone. And not a lot of damage for this one.
Minion wave in mid, starting to be pushed in. Minion wave in bot lane as well. RNG have good wave good. They can rotate around and stop the economic victory coming through from the minions pushing in. But otherwise, they're just basically watching, hoping for a miracle from this man, from MLXG.
He's found out the Warthog's wasted. A couple shots come out from Bang though as well, and Ming's at 2/3 health. Red buff goes once again, 2 in a row to Bang, stolen away from RNG's jungle. And well, there's an Elder Dragon waiting on the other side of this wall. It looks like there is no chance for RNG to stop this. They will get mid control for a moment and not much more. A 4-stack Elder Dragon going to SKT. He has to respect Faker's fight comes in. Uni goes for the Mega Nar! The triple stun! Here's the follow through! It's gonna be 2 already! And into the back lane goes Let Me. Cannot kill off Wolf though as the Chinese members are falling left and right. Uzi on the run. Peanut here to follow soon. Jumps forward, finds the dunk to flash away. But it's a 3v5. Can you win this fight and make it down to 2? This could be the death now. Uzi trying to kite from Hootie. Oh. It's not gonna happen. That's 4. That's gonna be 5. That's the ace.
And the legend of SK Telecom will not die today.
I've been told they're mortal, but they are not going to die today. A 12,000 gold lead. The team fight when they need it. SKT, masters of control, will take down the Nexus, will take down RNG, and are headed to their 4th World Championship final.
You never profess the death of SKT at Worlds until you see it in front of your eyes. Najin Shield went up 2-1 against them in 2013. Rockstar